Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're tackling a big one. Exactly how CELPIP candidates boost scores from just average to absolutely exceptional. If you've been stuck on a frustrating score plateau, literally memorizing lists but feeling like you're getting absolutely nowhere, you are in the exact right place. We're going to take what is normally just a static, boring vocabulary list and completely transform it into a high-scoring strategic toolkit built specifically for the CELPIP exam.
So, let's kick things off with a question that honestly baffles so many test takers. Why do candidates with perfect textbook grammar still find themselves scoring low on the speaking section? It is incredibly frustrating, right? Well, the answer is actually simpler than you might think. CELPIP is designed to test how you function in daily Canadian life. It heavily values natural, everyday colloquial small talk over stiff academic jargon. Examiners aren't looking for a walking dictionary who sounds like a robotic textbook. They want to hear a real person navigating messy, real-life situations.
Okay, here's our roadmap for the explainer today. We'll start with unlocking CELPIP, then hit our core domains, work and studies, social small talk, advice and opinions, and emotional states. Finally, we'll wrap up with mastery to bring it all together.
Let's dive right into Section 1, Unlocking CELPIP Speaking High Scores. We're focusing heavily on boosting your performance, specifically in Task 1 and Task 4. Here's the crucial point. Natural English is your absolute secret weapon. The human graders listening to your audio, they are specifically trained to evaluate how authentically you can handle an everyday scenario. They aren't counting how many massive four-syllable academic words you manage to memorize. Honestly, they hear that all day and it gets completely exhausting. What they really want is the rhythm of a native speaker grabbing a coffee, chatting with a coworker, or helping a friend out of a jam. That authenticity is exactly how CELPIP candidates boost scores.
All right, moving to Section 2, Work and Studies Core Words. Let's see how this builds your confidence for describing those stressful office or classroom scenes.
Take a phrase like, burn the midnight oil. Think about how this works on the examiner. Instead of a flat, unimaginative, I worked very late, dropping an idiom like this paints an immediate, vivid picture. You instantly visualize someone hunched over a desk at 2 a.m. with a cold cup of coffee. It demonstrates cultural fluency. You're no longer just reciting words, you're telling a highly relatable story.
Rather than freezing up during a workplace prompt, you just pull from this curated toolkit. Look at these options. Instead of saying the project is due soon, you say the deadline is looming. It sounds so much more urgent, right? Instead of let's talk later, suggest we touch base. Need to describe an innovative coworker? They think outside the box. Highlighting hard work? It happens behind the scenes while you multitask. This is precisely how CELPIP candidates boost scores, by swapping out basic verbs for rich, authentic phrasing. And this brilliantly illustrates what a top-scoring candidate actually sounds like. Imagine saying this with a bit of a natural sigh. Well, since the deadline is looming, we'll have to burn the midnight oil. See how fluid that is? It perfectly fits a Task 4 workplace scenario, showing mastery over both the vocabulary and the stressful context. It literally sounds like a conversation you'd overhear in a Toronto office. Next up is Section 3, Authentic Social Small Talk. We're leaving the boardroom and stepping into casual Canadian social life.
I absolutely love this idiom. Saying something happens once in a blue moon, rather than just plainly stating that it happens rarely, instantly signals a high level of conversational comfort. It brings warmth, color, and a sense of easygoing personality to your response. It proves you aren't just translating words in your head, but actually feeling the flow of the language.
Memorizing these specific phrases lets you navigate sometimes awkward, everyday scenarios effortlessly. It's all about having them ready to go. Describing a networking event? You break the ice. An exceptionally easy exam? Piece of cake. A broken down car? It's going to cost an arm and a leg. If a friend cancels out of the blue, you don't get mad, you just tell them you'll take a rain check. These phrases inject your audio with native-level spontaneity.
Now we arrive at a critical juncture. Section 4, Perfect Score Advice and Opinions. Task 1 is all about giving advice, so let's arm you for it.
Here is a highly effective 3-step formula to structure your Task 1 response. First, empathize. If I were in your shoes. Second, suggest an action. Advise them to carefully weigh the options. Finally, reassure them. Tell them to just take it easy. This structure doesn't just answer the prompt. It shows the examiner you truly grasp the social nuances of offering support in Canadian culture.
Think of this as a Actually, scratch that. Think of it as a complete software update for your vocabulary. Let's upgrade how you give advice. Instead of starting with a basic, I think, elevate it with, in my humble opinion, or call a general fact a rule of thumb. Want someone to be careful? Tell them to think twice or sleep on it before a big decision. Validating an argument? Point taken is incredibly respectful. This is the exact nuance that drastically elevates your score. Moving on to Section 5, precisely conveying emotional states. Because look, flat emotions lead to flat scores. Look at these contrasting emotions and see how they build incredible depth. You might start a story feeling totally pumped up for a new job, but quickly become frustrated by the learning curve. Your boss might be super laid back, while you feel entirely overwhelmed. Pivoting from being absolutely stressed out to being on cloud 9 shows the examiner the massive breadth of your new vocabulary. It makes your stories incredibly dynamic.
When a prompt asks you to describe a person or a tricky situation, utilizing these exact adjectives sets you apart immediately. Describing a friend as down-to-earth or spontaneous, or admitting you are completely clueless about an aggravating situation, that provides a level of descriptive sophistication graders are actively listening for. Calling an annoying situation aggravating rather than just bad breathes real life into your response.
And finally, Section 6, Achieve Mastery for High Scores. How do we bring this whole arsenal together when the timer is ticking?
The biggest takeaway here is this. Do not blindly memorize a list of 100 words. Rote memorization will literally just make you sound robotic. Instead, your goal is to purposefully deploy these phrases as strategic mini-narratives. Practice linking a workplace idiom with an emotional state. Combine a piece of advice with a small talk phrase. When you treat these words as strategic storytelling tools rather than flashcards, your true fluency shines through. This is exactly how CELPIP candidates boost scores consistently.
So, I leave you with this challenge. Which 3 phrases will you confidently deploy in your next CELPIP exam? Don't wait. Pick just 3 phrases from this explainer today and practice weaving them into a sentence out loud right now. Remember, language isn't just about passing a test. It's about genuinely connecting with the world around you. Master that connection and the high score will naturally follow. Thanks for joining me to unlock these strategies.